All right, get ready to dive deep into the filming locations of My Fault.
Oh, this is going to be good.
And trust me, we're not just talking about pretty Spanish backdrops. We're going to go beyond the surface here
Way beyond.
to uncover how these locations actually become part of the story.
Like they're characters themselves almost.
Exactly. And we've got some great material to work with. Production notes, character sketches, even some historical deep dives.
I love a good deep dive, and what's fascinating right off the bat
Yeah.
is that the filmmakers have picked places with these amazingly layered histories,
Oh,
where
yeah.
like cultural clashes and historical echoes are kind of baked into the landscape.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. So we're not just talking about setting the scene.
No.
These locations are actually like a storytelling tool.
Exactly. Like take Andalusia, for example.
Okay.
On the surface, you've got those sunny beaches, the vibrant energy.
Right. Classic Spain.
But the movie seems to be going for a different side of Andalusia. We're seeing illegal car races, underground fight clubs, sort of a darker side to paradise.
Ooh, interesting. So a place with hidden depths, just like the characters we're going to meet.
Right. And this isn't just some random choice. Andalusia's history is full of conflict and conquest. You've got centuries of Moorish influence bumping up against, Spanish traditions.
That tension, that clash of cultures, it's like part of the region's DNA almost. Now that you mention it, the source material did point out those historical clashes.
Yeah.
It even mentions specific places like the Giralda Tower and the Great Mosque of Cordoba.
Exactly. Those architectural wonders, I mean, they're breathtaking, yes, but they're also these powerful symbols of a past where different cultures, different faiths were constantly, vying for control.
So the movie isn't shying away from that complexity.
Not at all.
In fact, it's almost using these locations to amplify that tension and conflict.
Right.
That's probably simmering beneath the surface of the story.
Right. Precisely. And don't forget about flamenco. I mean, that dance form born out of Andalusian history,
Yeah.
it's all about raw emotion, passion that borders on violence.
Ooh, intense.
I would be surprised if we see those same themes playing out in the film's narrative.
Talk about adding layers. This is great. Okay, let's get specific. The source material mentions the Playa seafront. What could they be doing with a location like that?
Oh, I can picture it now. High-speed car chases along that iconic stretch of coastline.
Visually stunning, I bet.
Oh, yeah. You've got the beauty of the beach, but then also this reckless, almost desperate energy.
Interesting. But I'm also thinking thematically here.
Okay.
Could these illegal races be about more than just adrenaline?
Oh, absolutely.
Could they be a way for the characters to escape something or maybe even like confront their inner demons?
I think you're onto something.
Yeah.
It's like they're pushing boundaries, not just on the road, but also in their lives.
Yeah.
And that location, that narrow strip of land between the sea and the city,
Yeah.
it almost mirrors that feeling of being trapped, of searching for a way out.
Oh, okay. Mind officially blown. The source also mentions Puerto de la Duquesa and Las Gaviotas.
Right.
These aren't exactly your stereotypical action movie locales.
No, they're not. They're marinas, places of leisure, escape.
Right.
But remember, those sleek yachts, they can also represent wealth,
Mhm.
maybe even hidden dealings.
Ah, so a potential contrast between what we see on the surface and what lies beneath.
Right.
Could these seemingly tranquil settings be hiding secrets? Maybe even criminal activity?
It's definitely something to watch for. And speaking of contrasts, we can't forget about Cabo Pino and Nueva Andalucia beaches in Marbella.
Oh, right. Marbella, the playground of the rich and famous.
Exactly. This is where luxury and danger collide.
But the source material mentioned underground fight clubs in Andalusia.
Exactly.
So we have this juxtaposition of beauty and brutality, wealth and desperation.
Yeah. Makes you wonder if the movie's exploring the dark underbelly of this glamorous world.
I'm getting some serious film noir vibes here.
Oh, I see it.
Like the locations themselves are reflecting the character's inner turmoil, that push and pull between temptation and consequence.
It's like classic noir, where the city itself becomes a character.
Wow.
A reflection of the protagonist's psyche. And in this case, it's not just the city, it's the entire region of Andalusia, with its complex history and these contrasting landscapes.
Okay, so we've got sun-drenched beaches hiding a darker side, historic landmarks that whisper of past conflicts, and luxurious settings that might be masking something more sinister.
Lots going on.
But wait, there's more to Spain than just Andalusia, right?
Right. We're heading north to Madrid. And this is where the atmosphere of the film, it takes a dramatic shift.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear about this.
Yeah, Madrid. a modern metropolis. But the source material, it suggests that the film uses the city's night as a character.
Oh, interesting.
Think neon-lit streets, a sense of anonymity, even a touch of danger, lurking in the shadows.
So a stark contrast to the wide-open landscapes of Andalusia. It's almost like we're entering a whole different world, a whole different energy.
Exactly. And that shift might be mirroring the internal journey of our main character,
Okay.
who, according to the source material, actually moves from Madrid to Andalusia.
Interesting.
Imagine leaving behind those familiar rhythms of the city,
Yeah.
maybe even running from something.
Ooh.
And suddenly you're immersed in this world of, reckless car races and hidden fight clubs.
Wow. Talk about a culture shock. And if those underground locations are as prevalent in Madrid as they seem to be in Andalusia,
Yeah.
it's like she's trading one kind of darkness for another. Or maybe she's drawn to it somehow.
That's a great point. Is she seeking escape or is she chasing something?
Mm.
I mean, the source material, it doesn't give us all the answers,
Right.
but it does mention some key scenes taking place in Marbella,
Okay.
a place synonymous with luxury and excess.
That's interesting. Could Marbella represent like a temptation for her? A way to lose herself in a world of fleeting pleasures?
It's possible.
Or maybe it's a facade, like a glittering surface hiding something darker.
Those are excellent questions.
Mm.
And think about how those luxurious settings, how they might play against those grittier, more underground scenes
Yeah.
in both Andalusia and Madrid. What does that contrast tell us about the choices she's making, the paths she's considering?
This is making me think about that title again. My fault.
Yeah.
Is she running from past mistakes or is she heading towards new ones? These locations with their hidden depths and their conflicting energies, it's like they're amplifying those questions.
And let's not forget about the male lead.
Right.
The source, it hints that he's deeply embedded in that underground world, possibly even a key player in those illegal activities.
Really?
It makes you wonder, what role does he play in her journey? Is he pulling her deeper into that darkness or offering a way out?
Okay, the plot is thickening. It's like we're watching two characters. And two worlds collide. You've got the sunny, the seductive allure of Andalusia, but also the shadowy underground scenes that exist in both locations.
Absolutely.
Could their relationship be a bridge between those worlds? Or will it be torn apart by those contrasting forces?
I'll have to wait and see. But I'm fascinated by how the filmmakers seem to be using location
Yeah.
to mirror those internal conflicts, those choices each character is facing.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, if the film is ultimately asking, are we defined by the places we come from or the paths we choose?
Ooh, I love that question. It takes us beyond the surface level of, pretty locations
Right.
and really gets to the heart of what the film might be trying to say.
And speaking of getting to the heart of things, we can't overlook how My Fault seems to be engaging with contemporary Spanish culture.
Right.
These locations, they aren't just backdrops. They're pulsing with very specific energy.
Fill me in. What kind of cultural nuances should we be looking out for?
Well, think about the emphasis on nightlife in the film. Those underground scenes, the energy of those car races.
Yeah.
They speak to a certain aspect of Spanish culture, this vibrancy and passion that often spills over into the late night hours.
That makes sense. And it's not just about partying, right? There's a certain bravado, a willingness to push limits.
Yeah,
That feels very culturally specific.
totally. Like those car races, it's not just about speed.
Yeah.
It's about testing boundaries, defying expectations.
And remember, Spain has a long and complex history with tradition and rebellion.
That's right.
These locations, especially those with historical significance, they might be tapping into that tension.
Right.
Are the characters embracing their heritage or breaking free from it?
Good question.
It's like the film is asking us to look beyond the tourist brochure version of Spain
Yeah.
and consider the complexities, the contradictions, the raw energy that lies beneath the surface.
And food, music, the way people interact, those are all layers of cultural storytelling
Right.
that we can't ignore. The locations themselves are almost like characters, each with their own history, their own voice.
Wow, I'm starting to see these locations in a whole new light.
I know, right?
It's not just about where the story takes place, it's about how those places shape the story, how they influence the characters, how they resonate with deeper cultural themes.
Exactly. And that's what makes this film so intriguing. It's inviting us to go deeper, to consider those hidden layers of meaning, to explore those connections between place and identity. between history and the present moment.
I'm completely hooked. This deep dive has gone from a simple exploration of locations to a full-blown analysis of culture, character, and the power of place in storytelling.
It's amazing what we can uncover when we start to look beyond the surface, isn't it?
Yeah.
And speaking of uncovering things, there's one element in the source material that I find particularly fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
The connection to other films that have used these same locations.
Oh, right. It mentioned movies like Never Back Down, which
Yeah, I
was
see.
also shot in Andalusia, and even classics like Lawrence of Arabia. Yeah.
And The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which filmed in locations connected to My Fault.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, are the filmmakers deliberately referencing these other films? Are they paying homage? Or maybe even subverting our expectations based on those previous cinematic experiences?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's like they're building on a legacy,
Yeah.
having a conversation with cinematic history, and those locations with their rich cinematic past
Right.
become almost like bridges between different stories, different perspectives.
And it adds another layer to our understanding of My Fault. Are they embracing those familiar tropes, or are they challenging them? Are they using those locations to tell a completely new kind of story?
All right, I'm officially adding film detective to my resume. This is getting good.
And we're just getting started. But for now, let's shift gears a bit and focus on the characters themselves.
Because the source material, it hints at some pretty intriguing backstories, particularly for the male lead. We were just talking about the male lead and his connection to that underground world. It seems like he's not just a participant. He might be a key figure in those illegal races and fight clubs.
Yeah. And the source material, it hints that he's got a bit of a troubled past.
Right.
Maybe even some secrets he's trying to outrun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which makes his connection to those shadowy locations even more intriguing.
Right.
Is he seeking refuge in that world? Or is it a source of his turmoil?
It makes you wonder if those locations are almost like a trap for him, a
Yeah.
place where his past keeps pulling him back in.
It's like those locations are a physical manifestation of his inner demons.
Ooh, I like that.
And remember, the female lead is coming from a completely different world, literally and figuratively.
Right. She's leaving behind the urban landscape of Madrid for that sun-drenched coast of Andalusia. But as we've discovered, both locations have their share of darkness.
Absolutely. So will their relationship bridge those two worlds? Or will it become another battleground for those conflicting forces?
This is where that title, My Fault, really starts to resonate. Are we
Yeah.
talking about individual guilt, shared responsibility, or maybe even the weight of history bearing down on these characters?
So those locations themselves are carrying a burden of history, a legacy of choices and consequences.
Yep.
And these characters are stepping right into that, whether they realize it or not.
We've been focusing a lot on the darker aspects of these locations,
Yeah.
the danger, the intrigue.
Right.
But I'm also curious about the beauty, the allure that draws people to these places.
That's a great point. Andalusia especially is known for its breathtaking landscapes, the vibrant culture.
Right.
Could those elements be a source of healing, a way for the characters to find redemption?
Or maybe a false promise, a temporary escape that ultimately leads them back to where they started.
These are the questions that, great films make us ask. And I think My Fault, by grounding its story in such evocative locations, is going to challenge us to think deeply about those themes of choice, consequence, and the possibility of redemption.
This has been an incredible journey. We started with filming locations, and we ended up exploring cultural clashes, historical echoes, and the complex interplay between place and identity.
And it's just the beginning. The beauty of this kind of deep dive is that it prepares us to experience the film on a whole new level. We're not just passive viewers anymore.
Right.
We're active participants looking for those clues, those connections, those deeper layers of meaning that the filmmakers have embedded in the story.
I couldn't have said it better myself. So to wrap things up, let's leave our listeners with a final thought to ponder.
Okay.
We've talked about individual journeys, but do you think My Fault is also making a broader statement about contemporary Spain?
That's a fascinating question. By juxtaposing these locations, by highlighting both the beauty and the darkness, the film might be offering a nuanced portrait of a country,
Uh-huh.
grappling with its past, embracing its present, and navigating an uncertain future.
It's like those locations become a microcosm of modern Spain,
Yes.
reflecting the tensions, the complexities, and the enduring spirit of a nation.
And that, my friend, is the power of cinema. It can transport us to new worlds, challenge our perspectives, and leave us with more questions than answers.
I can't wait to see how it all unfolds on screen. But for now, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into My Fault. Be sure to let us know your thoughts once you've seen it.